Now, what book are you reading this summer? A Jilly Cooper bonkbuster? The latest lead child? Maybe a Frederick Forsyth classic? We've got all our favourite authors, of course. We all know what we like. Soon, though, it could be AI writing the books we take to the beach. Crime author and tech entrepreneur Ajay Chowdhury has revealed he is using artificial intelligence to help shape his latest plot. He says it will be the norm for all authors in the near future. And he's here in the studio with us, Ajay Chowdhury. And from his home, the best-selling author, journalist and living legend of English letters, the aforementioned Frederick Forsyth, joining us as well to debate this topic. Ms. Forsyth, I'll start with you, if you don't mind, and ask you how you feel about artificial intelligence being involved in novel writing.
I think it's a con trick, frankly. I've got no time for it. I believe that artificial intelligence, however sophisticated it may be, is still essentially the product of a machine, not a human brain. And if you're going to write a novel, I think it should be your novel, meaning stemming 100% from your brain. That, I suspect, is what the reader, paying good money over a counter, will expect and want, and be surprised to be given the product of a piece of, basically, technology.
OK, thank you for those opening views. Let's go to Ajay in the studio, who's joined us, who is using artificial intelligence to write. You're hearing that. I'm sure you're used to hearing that type of thing now. So give us the case for why you would use AI.
Look, I'm a huge fan of Frederick Forsyth. He inspired me to write with his first book. But the reality is, I don't think any novel is the product of one person's brain. You have editors, you have readers, you have a lot of people who provide input into it. And the way I use AI, I would never use AI to write my book for me, but I would use it very much to bounce ideas off, just as I might off my editor. I would absolutely use it if I'm stuck and say, hey, give me a few scenarios that I might be able to go forward with. And what I found was, for my last novel, which has just come out, called The Detective, I was actually researching the negative bits of AI, and that's what the book's about. But as I started researching it, I realized this could actually be really useful. And it actually cut the time of writing and gave my editor a much more polished draft. Now, it'll be never as good an editor as her, because she knows me, she knows my style, but it absolutely helps. So I'm a huge fan.
OK, you're a huge fan. I want to come back to Frederick Forsyth on that point that Ajay just made about a book not being from one person's brain, being a sort of collaborative project. Is there any argument for that?
I believe that obviously the improvement of the script, the polish, what is in essence an editorial job, that can be left to a machine if you insist, but not the creation. If the creation isn't from the brain of the author, it shouldn't be under his or her name. Otherwise, it's not what I call authentic, and I think you have to stress that word, authentic. Is it authentic, or is it artificial? Check the meaning of both words. Artificial can be created by anything. It can be, well, it's phony. It can be a con. Whereas authentic is authentic, and there's only one meaning of that word, authentic. It comes from where it's supposed to come from, and what's supposed to come from on the cover of a book is the author, his ideas or hers. And yes, you can polish it with a good editor, and a bit of artwork and a nice cover, make it more attractive in many ways, but you can't or shouldn't, in my view, change the plot to suit a machine.